Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. This is going to be named Persecution is Coming. This is what's actually more important. A lot of times it's almost like seasonal things happen. Like when you're in the truth, you see seasonal things happen. Like around this certain time, you get brothers coming in to the truth. Around another time, you would get brothers falling out of the truth. It's like seasonal things that you could see that's happening. And then around certain times, you would get all the camps. They would go at each other. One camp would get a little recognition, then that'll spark up the same old 10-year, decade debates, and then you would see all the camps going at each other and everybody pointing at each other for what's wrong and what's right and stuff like that. But what is important is this persecution. That's what's important, because that's Quanah Israelite Covenant Oil just uploaded a video, staying on fire. Okay, I see him, right? So this is what's important, because when the persecution comes, I believe that it's going to cause a couple different things to happen. One thing being, it's going to cause a lot of brothers that is in truth to put their differences aside because of that persecution. It's going to cause Israel to come together. I mean, it's actually a prophecy in Jeremiah chapter 50 that the house of Israel and the house of Judah is going to come together, especially when that persecution comes, right? It's going to cause a lot of things to be figured out, like what is really the truth or not, because it's going to be crunch time. And what it's going to do, with going in Revelation 13 with the MOTB, it's going to cause many people to choose a side. There's going to be no more riding the fence, right? You're going to have to choose a side of either, are you going to follow the Lord, or are you going to follow man? Now, there's people out there that say they follow the Lord, but they're really following man. And that's outside of the truth, and even within the ones that claim to be in the truth or be woken up to following the Lord. So everybody right now has their opinions. I believe this, I believe that, I believe this, but it's what's going to be the decider, really the MOTB. When it comes, we going to see who's going to take the MOTB, which is the C-HIP, or who's not. That's going to make the separation for who's really in this and who's not. And I got to tell you, it's going to be people that's closest to you that's actually going to go take it too. So you got to work out your own salvation, right? But what's more important than all that is, the prophecies, right? You have to be in the spirit of prophecy, and one of the prophecy is that persecution is coming. That's what you have to be preparing yourself. It says wisdom and knowledge should be, roughly paraphrased, it should be your strength in these days, right? So this is what you're getting, all this wisdom and knowledge of, the precepts of, the law and how to do things and how to put things in decency and order, and how to, you kind of, all this is leading up to this hour of temptation at the end, so you prepare yourself. That's why we constantly going over the Bible. We're constantly teaching it. We're constantly studying it. That's why we're constantly doing the work of the Lord. Like it says in Matthew chapter 6, you stacking up in that spiritual bank, right? So you could possibly be, one of the men that be saved from the destruction. So we're constantly doing these things, right? Because we know that temptation is coming, and we know that that persecution is coming. We see it from every angle. We see Esau putting together to play to demonize us, and to eventually come against us. We see that he's, putting agents in the different groups and stuff like that. We see that. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. So we can see that these things is happening. You think they just gonna let us continue doing what we're doing, but every time, every other organization, they always then took it down, infiltrated it. So what do you think they're getting prepared to do to us? Especially with, all the notoriety that's been going on for some of the bigger camps lately, and you've been going against the small hats, so what do you think they're doing? They're behind scenes, and they're preparing things. They're preparing to do things, and many brothers that had dreams or visions of this persecution. So that's what we need to be focused on, man. Rather than warring with each other, arguing with each other. Hey, if they believe that, they believe that. Hopefully their belief and their foundation leads them not to take the MOTB and to be saved. We believe it this way. We see it this way. We believe that this scripture means this, right? Hopefully those get us, that belief get us the results that we want, which is being saved. And that's what it comes down to. All this arguing back and forth, getting in each other's faces, talking shit about each other, making this person move his camp from here, taking this all that shit, man, really just it don't matter, because that's not what we're sent here for. We are sent here to be prophets, to prophesy, and teach the gospel, which, you know, a part of the gospel is prophesying, right? You have to prophesy because the gospel is a prophecy to happen, right? Which is the Israelites getting the kingdom and, you know, everything that goes along with Isaiah 61, right? But before we get there, it says through much tribulation we must enter into the kingdom of heaven in the books of Acts. So there's a great persecution that's coming too. It's always played like this in the past, and it's going to happen now, but even worse than any time. So I'm gonna start here in Revelation chapter 2, right? Verse 9, it says, I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty. Now follow me here. It says, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them who say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So we are professing this, and we're saying this today, right? And those same people that this precept is talking about that have the power, you know, they are getting ready to figure out ways to persecute us because they don't want to give up the power, right? Verse 10, it says, fear none of those things which thou suffer. So from verse 9 and verse 10 goes together. So from verse 9, this is what's going to happen. Verse 10, fear none of those things that thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you in prisons. So the devil means deceiver. Well, who has deceived the world that they are the real Israelites, right? Going back to verse 9, those who say they are Jews but are not, who has deceived the world at? So those are going to be the same people that's going to be behind casting us into prisons. And this is how we know, right? Because they already deemed it a hate group, right? And stuff like that. So now they just got to do a couple little plays and then they could come to persecute us, right? And we know that this is coming. This is how it all wraps together because we know that this is about to happen because we see that the truth is getting out there. And as the truth is getting out there and these people are being exposed, they're the very ones that's going to be behind persecuting the Israelites, right? The true Israelites, right? It says that they may be tried and ye shall have tribulation. Same thing, tribulation, right? 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So you have to be faithful even to death. But watch this. But watch, even if you do have to die. Now, that's very scary to brothers. I remember when I got in the truth, that was very scary to me. Like, damn, so we gonna have to, we all gonna die. So we just gonna go into until we all die to the death, right? But verse 11 kind of gives you hope because it says, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saying to the churches. He that overcometh should not be hurt of the second death. So if you not hurt of the second death, that means that you survived and you didn't die any other way till the second death came, which is by fire and brimstone, by the nuclear missiles. But you even overcame that, and you're not going to be hurt by that, meaning you're going to be saved from it. And we know how that salvation is going to come. You know, First Thessalonians 4:17, we're going to be caught up into the sky, you know, with the Lord and be with Him forever, right? What's that, Luke 1 starting at verse 67? That's our salvation. That's how we're going to be saved from the hands of our enemies. Matter of fact, let me get that right. So our enemies are planning to persecute us, right? But this is what we have to look forward to. If I could get to it, in the book of Luke chapter 1, which you guys know this because this is a very popular precept these days, you know. I can flip to it because I want to go back to Revelations. But this is Luke 1, starting at verse 67. And his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, so we doing the same thing we prophesy. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, the house of David, right? It's been big talks about that lately. So we know we getting close to that. That's why the Spirit is out there to talk about the house of David so much. It says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world begun, that we shall be saved from our enemies and from the hands of all them that hate us. So what happened with Apostle Paul? He was cast into a prison, but he was saved out of it. What happened to Peter? He was cast into a prison, but he was saved out of it. You see what I'm saying? So those are examples that we could possibly be saved out of it too. But there is martyrs. So if you have to die, then you got to stay faithful until the death. But like it says, you're going to have a crown waiting for you, you know. This is Revelation chapter 3. Now, same thing, verse 9. It says, behold, I will make them the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. right? So you're gonna have it both ways, and I always said that because I have visions of that, where you're gonna have some of them, they gonna know that their time is up, and the only thing they're gonna try to do is cleave to us, right? And they're gonna try to cleave to us, but we brothers, and y'all the people, but we are the people too. Let's come together, and they're gonna try to cleave to us, and they're gonna come and worship before our feet. But then you got the other ones that's gonna deny it and just deny it all the way to the Lord return. They're still just gonna be in denial, and they're gonna try to persecute us. Verse 10 says, "Because thou hast kept the word of my patience." So for us, that is keeping the word and the truth and doing what the Lord commanded us to do. It says, "I also would keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, and try them that dwell upon the earth." So if you catch yourself in a position like this with a guillotine in your head and that little circle right there waiting for it to come down, the Lord said He's gonna keep you from the hour of temptation. Because if you get in a situation like that, that's temptation. They may say, "Look, man, we finna drop it. What you want to do? You want to take the MOTB? You want to be reprogrammed, re-educated? What you gonna do? You gonna pledge allegiance to us?" Right, but if you the elect, you ain't even gonna find yourself in that situation because the Lord said He's gonna keep you from the hour of temptation. And the same thing with the MOTB. It says, "Behold, I will come quickly. Hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown." So we got to stay grounded in this thing. That's why it's good to have a good foundation. So some men come into the truth and then they build a foundation when they come into the truth. Some men had a good foundation before they even came into the truth. Like me, I always believed in God. Never called on Jesus, really. I'm not saying I never ever had to do that, but for the most part, I never really called on the name Jesus. I always just believed in God. But I had a friend that died when I was young. When I was a young age, I had a friend that died, and it hit me really hard. And ever since he died, he got hit. He was on a bike, and that's what one of the things we used to do back in the day. Kids don't do this today, but back in the day, we'd get our bikes and we'd drive around the whole neighborhood. We'd drive to the other side of town, on our bikes, just to go meet up with some girls or something like that. So we'd be on bikes, and you know, um, he was a real close friend to us, and he got hit, and he died, and that was the last time we ever seen him. So that hit me kind of hard when we was young, and then even the fact that we was young, it hits you even harder when you're young. And ever since that, I always would pray every night, but I'll always just pray to God. I would always pray to God. Then when I came in the truth, I learned the name, so I started putting the name into that prayer. You see what I'm saying? But I would always pray before I went to sleep, so I always believed in God. So I came in the truth, but even before I was in the truth, I had a good foundation to start with. I always chose the Lord and seek the Lord, and maybe that's one of the reasons why the Lord brought me into the truth. And say, okay, well, it's time. Now it's time for you to come into it, right? But we laboring for that crown, like it says, hold fast thy crown. So even if you get caught up in a situation like this, an angel could get you out. So you just gotta keep faith even to the end. That's why it says in Revelation 2, be thou faithful unto death, because you might not actually die. It may seem like you finna die, but you might be saved. So you gotta believe all the way to the end. If you get in a situation like this, just keep believing. Just keep calling on the name. Just call on the name. Call on the name. If you go, you go. If you don't, you don't. This is Revelations 12, right? And I just get it from. I want to get straight to the point. Well, I'm gonna have to go from the front. Right, it says, "And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, and a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars." Now we know this woman is talking about Israel, right? And we broke down Revelations 12. You could go check out. So I'm just gonna get to the point. "And she began with child travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon," which we know that it's going into, if you break it all the way down, the armies, but if you break it all the way down to the man that it's talking about Esau. It says, "Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head." So we know that goes into Revelation chapter 17, right? The 7 heads, the kingdoms of Esau, Greeks, Romans, French, Spanish, Germaner Major, Germaner Minor, this, I ain't gonna get all of them, but matter of fact, let's do it. You got the Greeks, you got the Romans, right? You got the French, you got the Spaniards, Germaner Major, Germaner Minor, British, right? 7 heads, the 10 horns talking about EU and NATO, right? And that's the dragon, that's the beast, NATO. Because even when you get down to verse 7, it says, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. Now, if you go to Revelations 19, starting at verse 19, it tells you it's the kings and the armies of the earth, right? Um, so in his tail drew the third part of the star of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child soon as it was born. So it's the same thing with Yahweh Shai. When he came on the scene, was that Matthew chapter 3? You know, King Herod was trying to kill him. He was trying to kill all the babies because he wanted to devour the Lord as soon as he was born. But it's the same. Now I want to qualify it. But it's the same thing that's going to happen now. Because when the Lord is coming back, what do Esau has? He has space station. He has space force, right? So he's getting prepared for the Lord to come back. Esau is preparing to fight the Lord. And it tells you that when you go down to verse 7, right? And Michael and the angel fighting against the dragon, his angel. So that means that Esau and the armies of the earth, behind the scenes, they're preparing to do what? To devour the Lord before he's born, but not born in the way of birth, like through a woman, but before he comes back. So when he's coming back, they have all these satellites to the sky watching. They waiting, and they gonna try to go to war with the Lord, and that is a fulfillment of prophecy, right? But even with that, just like it just said in verse 3, they're also going to come against the woman, which is who? The Israelites. So they're finna get ready and persecute Israel heavy. And then that's when you go back to Jeremiah 30, where it says, where it talks about Jacob's trouble. So it all goes together like that. Jacob's trouble is on its way. Now let's jump back to Matthew 24. And that's why I said, right? Because it goes hand in hand with Jacob's trouble and persecution, you know. Persecution is coming, you know. And then even more, those that actually believe us, that call ourselves in the truth, we're going to be the number one target. I got another video coming out that says you are Esau's target. And pretty much in that video, what I'll be talking about is, you know, a lot of brothers make videos and be like, look, the 2/3, Esau finna do this to you. And then they make videos of Esau getting ready and preparing his weapons and say, man, the 2/3, y'all finna get jacked up. But yeah, that's true. And that is true, right? But at the same time, you got to remember, you're the target. You that's in the truth, that know you're an Israelite, that's out there teaching on the highways and byways, you are the target, man. And this proves it. Matthew 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there should be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All that going to take care of the 2/3. But watch this. All these are the beginnings of sorrow. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and should kill you. And ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So who for the Lord's name's sake, who is that? That's gonna be the brothers that's in the truth, that know the name, that's professing the name, right? This says they're gonna be delivering you up and you should be afflicted. They should kill you. So this is very scary things, man. And this is what's about to happen. So yeah, the 2/3 gonna get jacked up regardless, right? But guess what? You're the target. And some of us gonna get jacked up too. Some of us, meaning us that's woken up to the truth, that's professing the name. You know, so we got to worry about that. That persecution is coming. Verse 10, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another, right? And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. But if you endure through all that, going along with Psalms 91, if the Lord allows you to endure through all that and make it to the end, then the Lord is going to save you, because that's the reason why he let you make it to the end. You see, and then going into, what's that, 2nd Esdras 16, says a great insurrection on those that fear the Lord. So this ain't just about, hey, look, all hell gonna break loose, you know, and then we gonna be good out here, and then the 2/3 gonna get jacked up. No, we gonna go through much tribulation. We're gonna go through afflictions. They're gonna come up against us. There's gonna be a great insurrection on us too. The so-called 1/3. It's gonna be hard. Through much tribulation, we must enter into the kingdom of heaven. So those that enter into the kingdom of heaven are going to have to go through much tribulation. It ain't just about the 2/3 getting jacked up. We going to get jacked. All Israel's going to get jacked up. But the only difference is a remnant, like it says in Isaiah chapter 10, a remnant's going to be saved out of it. Or like it says in Zechariah chapter 13 about the 2/3. They going to get taken out. But he said the other 1/3, he going to take them through the fire. What? That means through the tribulation. So we got to be humble, man, with what's about to go on, man. It's finna be bad. And I really feel like, personally, like, a lot of brothers don't really understand. They taking this to be a game. They don't really understand the severity of what's about to happen. And no, it's not just the 2/3 getting jacked up. Persecution is coming for all of us. We're all about to get jacked up, man. But that's why you have to have a good foundation, so when that time come, you never gonna be ready for it, but you can have that wisdom and knowledge to sustain you. Just like it talks about the parable of the 10 virgins, you can have that oil. The tunnel is called Israelite covenant oil. So when that time comes, you can have enough oil for your candle to burn until the Lord returns. Because right after it gets that parable in Matthew 25 about the 10 virgins, what happens right after that parable, right? The Lord returns. So you got to keep your candle lit. You got to keep that oil until the Lord returns. Even though the wind gonna blow in Revelation chapter 7, what does the wind represent? The destruction. So it's gonna blow like a motherfucker. But even though it's blowing, you gotta still keep that candle lit. So it's testing it. Like, if you put a little candle outside and a great wind come, it's gonna blow the candle out. But a great wind gonna come and you gotta still keep your candle. So therefore the Lord could see you and see your candle lit and come and save you. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 9. Oh, I remember this one. I used to use this one a long time ago. It's great. It says, persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not destroyed. You have to remember things like this, because when you going through that temptation and that persecution, you might want to give up. You might say, damn, I don't think the Lord choosing me. Damn, look how hard I'm getting persecuted. And you might just give up and say, fuck, I don't think I'm going to make it. Damn, the Lord, this is a sign that the Lord is trying to take me out, or the Lord done fucking with me because I'm getting persecuted so hard. Sometimes when things happen to you, you be like, damn, what am I doing wrong? Why is the Lord persecuting me so hard? But that's just a test. But it says, yeah, you might be persecuted, but you're not going to be forsaken. The Lord not going to forsake us, man. It says you might be cast down. You're going to be cast out your houses. You're going to lose all your wealth. You're going to lose family members. But you ain't going to be destroyed. And then on the bigger picture, this happened to Israel. We was persecuted, right? And then they try to say, oh, well, the Israelites, the Lord done away with them now. This is anybody that believes. No, we were persecuted, but the Lord ain't going to forsake the Israelites. We was cast down, but we wasn't destroyed. Why? Because we finna have a great comeback. That's the title for a video if a brother want to do it. We finna have a comeback, right? Or whatever, comeback. The great comeback, whatever you want to name it, right? Let me hop into the Apocrypha and I'll leave you with this. This is great stuff, man. Every time, you catch yourself kind of going off into all this bullshit out here, the arguing, the back and forth, the bickering that don't matter. And sometimes you got to catch yourself and just, man, say, man, that stuff don't really matter, man. A person's opinion of you don't matter, and this is what always gets me back into shape whenever that happens. I just think about prophecy. Yeah, exactly. Yep, I just think about prophecy and I just say, look, man, that's what you got to be prepared for. All this other shit, man, that shit don't matter, man. This is what matters, right? Because all that other stuff gonna come to the end. The teachings, who teaching, who got this congregation, and who got such a big congregation, who gets more views, and all that shit gonna come to an end, bro. Because the internet gonna get taken down, the grid gonna get taken down, and then the Bible talks about a famine of the word in Amos chapter 8. So you're not gonna be out there teaching no more because it's gonna be a famine of the word. So then what are you gonna have then? Just salvation and faith in the Lord. That's it. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 10. It says, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence ancient gray hairs of the age. Let me get a little bit context of that, right? Verse 5, right? It says, for our time is very shadow that passeth, right? Away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again, right? Now we know there is reincarnation. You don't come again as like Kadash. I'm not going to come again as the same man, right? It says, come on, but the spirit comes back in a different body, right? Reincarnation. It says, come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyful in every place, for this is our portion in our lot is this. And this just talking about, like, to sum it up, just look, you gotta enjoy life while you have it, right? It says, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, right? And that's what it's about, right? Because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He abideth with, abideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy with transgression of our education. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts, and it just goes on and on and on, right? And like verse 19, the point, let us examine with him the despitefulness and torture, that we may know the meekness and prove his patience. Let us condemn him with a shameful death, for by his own saying he shall be respected. Such things did imagine, and were deceived, in their own wickedness have blinded them. It says, verse 23, for God created man to be immortal, and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold on his side do find it. So that's just what it breaks down to. Like it said in Revelation chapter 2, you got to hold fast your crown, right? And don't follow the devils, the deceiver, the devils that's going to cast us into prison, right? You got to follow the Lord, and you got to stay righteous and keep the faith, all the way to the end, right? Because these things is coming, and it's just showing us, like, this is what we need to be doing right now: prophesying and having faith and praying, because right now things may seem a certain type of way, but things is about to get a lot worse. I remember when when the whole thing happened with the whole system, right? And everybody was scared at the end of 2019, right? And I was seeing brothers' faces. I was seeing a lot of people faces. You go in the stores, you see people faces. Everybody had a panic look on their face, and that was nothing. So what do you think is about to come right now? When Esau say, "Look, man, hey, they come up against us, they frame us, right? The Israelites." And they say it don't matter if you is a black Hebrew Israelite, don't matter what group you is, they group us all up into one, black Hebrew Israelites. We're hunting you down. You're going to see a lot of people fold and take the other side. You're going to see a lot of scares. You're going to see a lot of people that was popping big shit going to be very humble during that time, because that's when the fire is going to be turned on. So with that, I'm going to say persecution is coming. I'm going to say salvation to the elect, though.